Welcome into this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly. I'm John Holder. This is your inside look at everything going on with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Coming up on this week's program, we're going to spend time once again with the Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Coach Steve Savarese. He will join us remotely from Montgomery, and we are going to talk about the AHSAA and their response to the COVID-19 virus. All school and all athletics for the rest of the 2019-2020 school year have been canceled. We're going to talk about not only the impact of that with high school athletics in the state of Alabama. We'll talk about practice. We're going to talk about the summertime activities. We'll even look ahead to the next school year and talk about the potential impact with everything going on with the COVID-19 virus and the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Also coming up on this week's show, we will give you an introduction to the 12 newest members of the Alabama High School Sports Hall of Fame. The induction ceremony is coming up on June the 22nd in Montgomery. We will talk about that as well. And the Bryant Jordan Scholarship Program. We've got some exciting information. That program will be broadcast live coming up right here on WOTM on April the 13th, and we'll have all the details about that exciting event as well. All of this and a whole lot more on this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly.
Uneven floors got you rolling? Ox Foundation Solutions has the expertise and the know-how to repair cracks, wet basements and crawl spaces, and uneven floors in your home. It's time to get strong. How strong? Ox Strong. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65, people with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes, people undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people, avoid crowds, stay home if you can, wash your hands frequently. Learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov.
WOTM is the television provider for all Alabama High School Athletic Association championship events and special programs. WOTM is your home for the Super 7 football, state finals basketball, baseball and softball state championships, the AHSAA Weekly Show, and WOTM also produced the first ever football playoff show, Super 7 preview show, and reclassification reveal show. Your exclusive home for all things AHSAA is WOTM. Contact your local cable provider to request WOTM to your channel lineup.
Without our contest officials, we would have no contest. I truly encourage our parents to be a shining example of sportsmanship regarding our contest officials and setting an example for everyone, as well as coaches and fans across this state, to treat our officials with respect.
And we are back on the AHSAA Weekly. A lot happening around the country, around the world, and certainly right here in Alabama. Every facet of our lives really have been changed in the last couple of weeks, and that includes sports and athletics. And we're going to get an update on everything happening with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. And we're going to the Executive Director of the AHSAA, Coach Steve Savarese, joins us from Montgomery. We're doing social distancing, Coach. So I know you're not in the office. We're trying to be as safe as possible. And so we're going to hook up with you remotely today and get the latest update on everything happening with the Alabama High School Athletic Association as related to the school shutdown and the COVID-19 virus. Coach, welcome in. Glad to have you with us this week.
Well, John, thank you so much for having me, Vince, everyone, Robert at the station. You know, one of the things when you get to be my age, 43, you have to really be careful. Why are you laughing, John? And you have to really be careful, not only with the COVID virus, but with all seasonal flus and everything. So I think we'll learn a lot from this situation. We might do more social distancing in the future, but I just pray that everyone at the station and everyone associated with this television program is safe and will remain safe as we face this unprecedented health challenge.
Coach Savarese, let's back up a couple of weeks ago. You joined us on the show, and at that point in time, April 6th was the date. That was going to be the date that the schools were going to go back, and possibly not very long after that, starting sports up. But then 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday, March the 20th, the governor, the state superintendent of education, had a joint press conference. And, Coach, that's when things changed dramatically just about 10 days or so ago.
Well, every day there's new information and something changes. This is the most fluid health crisis in my lifetime that I've ever been part of, and I'm sure you're, John. Tomorrow could bring about another change. But on March 20th, or March 21st, whatever it was, when the Alabama State Department of Education, along with the governor, closed all of our schools, of course, at that time, we had to set a date for all athletics to stop. We did the subsequent Tuesday. And who would have dreamt it? Who would ever have dreamed that we would be where we are right now, not looking at having any spring sports for the entire semester? But now, as you look back on it, hopefully we'll be able to come back this summer or even next fall. There's so many uncertainties in the future, and we just pray that our healthcare professionals can find a solution to this issue.
Coach, as we continue to dive into this a little bit deeper, obviously folks know that school is out for the rest of the school year, and athletic competition is also out for the rest of this 2019-2020 school year. But let's dive a little bit deeper into that. I know people have some questions. One of the questions is, besides games and contests, there's no any kind of practice or anything like that allowed. Is that right, Coach?
That's right. Schools are basically on lockdown. There'll be no one allowed at the school. There's no one-on-one interaction. And we've learned a new word in the last 2 weeks, working with our medical professionals, our medical advisory board. The new word has been teleconditioning, and using technology such as we're using right now to work with our student athletes to keep them conditioned for when we are able to continue sports. But right now, there's no activities, no one's at the schools, everything is shut down.
And Coach, that means that if someone wants to, hey Coach, I want to borrow the key and go up to the gym and shoot some baskets or lift some weights, or Coach, can you come down here with 3 or 4 of us and give us a little workout? None of that is permissible either, correct?
Well, it's like our medical advisory board told our committee this morning. The litigious issues that go along with that, if someone was to come down with the disease or the virus and then it was passed along to someone else and someone had a severe consequence because of it, as well as not being covered by our insurances if you're there, that outcome is it's kind of like my mom used to tell me, sometimes the juice isn't worth the squeeze, and that's definitely not worth it to do that.
Coach, some folks out there may have heard in the last couple of days the NCAA granted senior athletes another year of eligibility. But there are key differences between high school and college, so there may be some fans out there not familiar with the rules and regulations and so forth, wondering, well, can my senior athlete, can they be granted another year of eligibility and come back and play next year? What's the answer to that question?
Well, the answer to that would be no, John. The Alabama State Department of Education, Dr. Mackey, who's just been an awesome person to work through with this, is committed to graduating every senior this year. Once they have graduated, they're eligible for competition. Unless something changed through our board or with some type of legislation that was passed within our membership, that would not change. And the unintended consequences that go along with that concept are juniors who maybe would not get to play as much their senior year, or 8th graders who may not be, or do they move up to the 9th grade? There's so many issues associated with it. The good part, you have to look at the positive that occurred this year. We had baseball teams that played 20 games. In some states, that's the maximum you can play 20 games. In our state, we allow them to play 32 games. So they had already played 20 games. We had a lot of schools that maybe played 10, 15, 20. Some of our sports maybe had 1 or 2 track meets. We were able to have something. There's nothing more than we would have loved for our kids to be able to compete for championships. But unfortunately, this health crisis must take precedent.
And Coach, for folks that don't know, the Alabama High School Athletic Association, the primary purpose of the AHSAA is the concern, the health, the well-being of the athletes, of the coaches, of the schools, the administrators, even the fans. That is really the first and foremost concern, I know, with you and the Central Board, the entire staff, and all of our administrators and coaches around the state is providing the best, the most safe environment for everybody involved with high school athletics.
Well, absolutely, John. When you think about the seasonal flu, every year we lose between 30 and 50,000 lives. And I was probably like most people when this started. I said, well, the seasonal flu is much worse. John, they're talking about today that we could lose 2 million people across our country in a much shorter time than the seasonal flu. Minimum 100 to 200,000. That is catastrophic. We've already lost more people today than we lost in 9/11. So this is serious, and we all have to take this serious. How serious it is with me, I don't get to see my grandchildren on the weekend now. Beth and I don't. We don't get to hug them now. And, we stay away and we practice our social distancing. We practice being away from things that could affect us because we want to eradicate this disease. And the health and safety of our student athletes, our coaches, our fans is at the forefront of everything we do.
Coach, you've done a great job of letting folks know what is going on now through the end of the school year, all the way into the summertime. When we come back in a couple of moments, you're going to stay with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about the summertime, the fall, moving forward. There's a lot of positives there. And I know a lot of discussion, a lot of plans, and folks out there probably have a lot of questions. So you're going to join us, and we'll come back in just a moment and talk about what's going to happen for the summer and the fall and beyond with high school athletics here in the Alabama High School Athletic Association as we continue with Coach Steve Savarese of the AHSAA here on the AHSAA Weekly. Back in just a moment.
Home making you sick? Moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. Ox Foundation Solutions can remedy any mold or mildew problem in your home. It's time to get strong. How strong? Ox Strong. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65, people with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes, people undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people, avoid crowds, stay home if you can, wash your hands frequently, learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov.
WOTM is the television provider for all Alabama High School Athletic Association championship events and special programs. WOTM is your home for the Super 7 football, state finals basketball, baseball and softball state championships, the AHSAA Weekly show, and WOTM also produced the first ever football playoff show, Super 7 preview show, and reclassification reveal show. Your exclusive home for all things AHSAA is WOTM. Contact your local cable provider to request WOTM to your channel lineup.
All high school students should have an opportunity to participate in interscholastic athletics. Students can gain so much from participating in extracurricular activities through sport. Not only do they learn sportsmanship, they learn respect, and they learn teamwork. All of these are characteristics that students could carry with them throughout the rest of their lives.
We are back on the AHSAA Weekly, visiting and sharing some time with the Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Coach Steve Savarese, and we've been talking about the reaction of high school athletics in the state of Alabama to the COVID-19 crisis that we have going on, not only in Alabama but around the country. Coach, let's look ahead to the summertime. Well, once school is out, the school year technically, because of distance learning, has been extended now to June the 5th. But things don't really slow down for high school athletics in the summertime. We have 7-on-7 camps. We have team camps going on. We have conditioning and workouts and things like that. Tell us about the summer and what is that looking like at this point in time?
Well, John, we want to remain optimistic that when school returns to session on June the 8th, Monday, June the 8th, we would be able to return to a sense of normalcy. But we've had our physicians talk to our committees and advise them that at this time, they're not sure that's going to happen. The colleges and universities are now looking at canceling summer session 1, maybe summer session 2. They're telling us that we need to have contingency plans, maybe not to return to a later time. So we don't want to overreact. We take the data week by week as it changes, as we said previously, fluidly. But we'll reevaluate this at the end of April. We'll see where we are. We'll reevaluate it mid-May, see where we are. Hopefully, we'll be able to continue, but we will have a plan if we're not.
Coach, part of the planning and the excellent job that you and the staff have done with Alabama High School Athletic Association is the fact you've put together 3 different contingency committees to gather the input from the member schools around the state of Alabama. Tell us about those 3 committees.
Well, I think it's really 4, John, that we've put together, and the purpose is we want the input from our membership. We just don't sit in Montgomery and make these decisions without input from our member schools that we can provide to our Central Board of Control, who sets all policy. But we started out with a spring sport committee. We had another meeting with them today, a contingency committee, and have had Dr. Jeff Dugas update that committee today regarding the state of where we are. We also met with our football committee at 11 o'clock this morning, a very similar process. We updated everyone. We didn't want to be speculative, but Dr. Dugas covered a lot of what ifs. Tomorrow, we have a summer competition committee to talk about our summer games, our summer conference, the 7-on-7 camps that you talked about. Our doctors will talk to us again tomorrow. We'll start putting a plan in place for the amount of time that we end up with this summer. And prayerfully we will. And then we have a fall sport committee with all of our fall sports, 5 of them. We'll meet in the afternoon tomorrow or later in the day to discuss a contingency plan should we not be able to start at the end of the summer. So we're looking at all possibilities with the goal, as soon as it becomes safe, to put all of our student athletes back on the field.
As you said, I know that you want to end our time together with a very positive message. So to folks like me that love high school athletics here in the state of Alabama, we love football and basketball and baseball and volleyball and tennis and all the great sports that we have here in Alabama and all the great seasons we have. Those athletes, coaches, the fans out there, those parents, your message to them this week as we know what we know now.
Well, there's an old saying that sometimes you can't experience happiness unless you've experienced sadness. Well, I can assure you, I think many of us will not take these leisure times that we have through sports for granted in the future. And we'll look forward to that time where we can return to a sense of normalcy with a rejuvenated passion for sport. Our kids, my heart breaks for them that they're not able to participate at this time, and we all don't know what the future holds. But I do know, having lived more than 43 years, I saw the value in sport in 1968, when I was a sophomore in high school, when we integrated the black and the white schools within communities. And I saw what sport could do for a community, for a school, bringing generations together and had a common goal where they all participated for the same goal. And I really believe when we get back together, it's going to be a similar time. We're all going to get back together and we're going to be able to say, what did I learn from this? How can I use this for the future? I've learned a lot by spending time with my family. I've learned that I need to appreciate teachers because of the wonderful job they do. I've learned the value of sport, remembering that it is truly, sport is for fun. And I can't wait to see those kids get out there and participate and have fun again and enjoy their lives and their activities in the afternoon. I think we're going to have a renewed appreciation, and it's going to be a great time. We all have to do our part to get through this. If we all do our part, it'll end sooner than later. If we only think of ourselves, it'll last a little longer. So I say to all of you, let's all do our part, because there's nothing more that I want to see than our kids compete again. It's the highlight of all of our lives who work with sport. So I say thank you for having me on. I look forward to the time when we come back together, John, and I look forward to that time where we can all enjoy sport again.
Good words of encouragement. Coach, again, thank you for the leadership with you and the Central Board, all the staff with Alabama High School Athletic Association. I know these are not easy decisions. These are difficult times, unprecedented, as you have said. Thank you for spending some time with us this week to explain to folks across the state of Alabama what's happening with Alabama High School Athletic Association. Like you, looking forward to the day when we're all together and playing sports again here in the state of Alabama.
Well, I can't wait till, I always say, we have to treat officials with respect. But I think even they look forward to having somebody come out there and get on them a little bit. And we just get back to normal, and where we can watch those athletic events on television, where we can watch WOTM, watch our state championships. We all look forward to that time, and it will come, it will happen again. We just need to do our part, and let's get it here sooner than later.
Coach, thank you for being with us this week on the AHSAA Weekly.
Thank you, sir.
Coach Steve Savarese, Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, our guest this week, once again, here on the AHSAA Weekly. Back in just a moment.
Things a little bumpy in your driveway? AHSAA Foundation Solutions has the expertise and the know-how to repair cracks, wet basements and crawl spaces, and uneven floors in your home. AHSAA Foundation Solutions will come up with the right fix for you. It's time to get strong. How strong? AHSAA Strong. Get a free estimate from AHSAA Foundations.
Who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65, people with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes, people undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people, avoid crowds, stay home if you can, wash your hands frequently, learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov.
WOTM is the television provider for all Alabama High School Athletic Association championship events and special programs. WOTM is your home for the Super 7 football, state finals basketball, baseball and softball state championships, the AHSAA Weekly show, and WOTM also produced the first ever football playoff show, Super 7 preview show, and reclassification reveal show. Your exclusive home for all things AHSAA is WOTM. Contact your local cable provider to request WOTM to your channel lineup.
Wrapping up this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly, and we want to talk about the Alabama High School Sports Hall of Fame. It's coming up on Monday night, June the 22nd, live right here on WOTM from Montgomery. And we have a great class of inductees coming up in the class of 2020. Carol Cox, great high school football coach at Jess Lanier High School in Bessemer. Also, Joseph DeSaro, coming back from Georgia where he coached, back to Grissom High School in Huntsville. a tremendous wrestling coach, leading the Tigers to 7 state championships. Also, Aaron Good, graduate of Hazelwood High School up in Town Creek, great administrator, a great coach, and he will be in the Hall of Fame of 2020. Rick Grammer. This is a sport of soccer, a legend in the sport of soccer in the state of Alabama, most notably at Vestavia Hills High School in the Birmingham area. Also, Luke Hallmark over in West Alabama, great member of the Alabama High School Athletic Association Central Board of Control, great coach and administrator going into the Hall of Fame. Tommy Lewis, one of the top great basketball coaches in the state of Alabama, most of his career up in the northeast corner of the state of Alabama in places like Cherokee County, Galesville, Spring Garden, and winding up his career at Piedmont High School. Going into the 2020 class is an old-timer, Samuel Hamp Lyon, now deceased, going into this 2020 class as an old-timer. Ellick City High School, great coach there back in the 40s and the 1950s. Also served as athletic director there at Alexander City. One of the great football coaches in the state of Alabama, Steve Mask, Bradshaw, Buckhorn, Colbert County, and St. Paul's Episcopal High School in Mobile, also going into this year's Alabama High School Sports Hall of Fame. Another great football coach, but a great official as well, a great wrestling coach. We're talking about Tony Pugh. Tony Pugh going into the Alabama High School Sports Hall of Fame as well, and one of the great administrators also and leaders in Alabama High School sports. Yvonne Michelle Simmons, Carver of Montgomery High School coaching legend, graduated from Sidney Lanier of Montgomery and Alabama State University, spent her entire coaching and teaching career in the Montgomery County public school system. Also, Keith Williman, a native of Mississippi, then came to the University of North Alabama and then got into teaching and coaching at Winfield High School. Back in the 80s, coached football and track at Falkville High School and was a legend at Falkville. Great track coach there, one of the great track coaches in the state of Alabama high school history, also going into the Alabama High School Sports Hall of Fame in the class of 2020. And also Fred Yancey, graduated from up in Memphis, Tennessee, but then came to Alabama, coached in Tennessee and Georgia, but came to Briarwood Christian High School in Birmingham, where he coached 29 years, won 3 state championships and 3 state runner-ups as well. Those are the members of this year's 2020 class in the Alabama High School Sports Hall of Fame. Also, coming up live here on WOTM on April the 13th, mark your calendars, we're going to have the Bryant Jordan Scholarship Program. That will be announced online and right here on WOTM. Chris Stewart will be the MC of that. That will be at 6 o'clock. That will be the start time for that. This is one of the great scholarship programs in high school sports in the entire country, and we are pleased to bring that to you live on April the 13th. Chris Stewart will be emceeing that, and we'll bring you the Bryant Jordan Scholarship Awards right here live on WOTM. That's going to wrap up this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly. We'll see you back here next week.